Today, our mission committee wanted to have a day where we could talk about the fact that Trinity is designated by the United Church of Christ as a global mission church. And we have so many different missions that go on in the life of our church that we thought that it would be good to have a Sunday where we could bring people up and talk about some of the neat things that are happening in the life of our church, and also to find a way that you might want to be involved if you feel that God is calling you to be a part of it. And Ruth Fisher is the chair of our mission committee, and Dale Angerman is our consistory liaison.
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here, and I want to talk a little bit about what a global mission church is. We were designated that several years ago, and really have not carried through on it. A global mission church is praying regularly for mission partners and missionaries around the world. We educate our members about global interests that concern our church and concern the larger world. We seek justice for the least of these in the international community. We have an advocacy for different countries that need our support. We receive gifts from the global church. We host a missionary, or have a missionary visit us, and we also, the Global Mission Church gives to the work of the global mission. And we send members out into the world to share good news, which our church does a really good job of. And I have a few people who are going to tell us about the different missions that they've gone on and the different trips that they've gone on. But before we do that, I also want to point out that you all have a little pamphlet, or most of you, and I've got a lot of people, have a pamphlet that our committee put together. We put that together before the fair last year and handed those out at the fair for different persons to see what our church is really about. And I'm not sure if any of you realize, but 20% of our income, our church's income, goes to missions. And the missions are listed on the pamphlet where those different monies go. That was decided by Jim Christensen's. And we've been doing that ever since. So Bill does that at the end of the year, make sure that 20% of our income has gone to different missions. So I'd like Jim Ditzler to come up and tell us a little bit about that faith.
Just about any time the concept of mission is discussed or brought up, Back Bay comes up to the top of the list. It is an institution that has been in the Gulf Coast for about 90 years, and many people regard it as one of the treasures of the United Church of Christ. It is there to serve the needs of low-income and anti-poverty efforts in the Gulf Coast. The mission campus was totally destroyed in Katrina. It has since been rebuilt into a very pleasant place, and they have maintained an effort of repair, reconstruction. In fact, now even having a program for building units, housing units for homeless veterans. We are going to have a mission trip there in October. There is space, so let me know if you would like to be part of that. We already have a handful of people already committed to go. And as people who have participated in mission work can easily remember that while we reach out to help those, we are more than help ourselves when we do that. Ruth, I'm also going to take this opportunity to tell you all that we already have people working in Texas in the clubs, and we have confirmed that there are no UCC congregations that have been impacted and we will be involved in the recovery down there. I had a conversation recently with our national executive, and he was preparing to go to Nepal because we work with partners in Nepal. And when you hear about global mission, that's why I wanted to tell you that, yes, we reach out all across the world. But locally, come join us for a nice week in Biloxi, Mississippi.
Good morning. I'd like to call your attention to the brochure you were handed to talk about the special mission offerings that our church is involved with. We are a 5-for-5 church, which means that we support all 5 of the different mission offerings. If you can remember, even last week we had Strengthen the Church. And so when those special mission offerings come up, it's nice to know what they're for. So the first one listed in the brochure is 1 great hour of sharing. And most of these are collected around holidays. And the second one is Neighbors in Need. We're supporting ministries of justice and compassion throughout the United States and Puerto Rico. The third one, the Christmas Fund, obviously is collected around Christmas. And that helps financial aid to retired and active ministers and their surviving spouses and children. I mentioned the Strength of the Church was just last week, and that grows UCC's future by funding new church starts and existing congregation and laying the pastoral leadership in building youth and youth adult ministries. So those 4 are actual offerings that are throughout the year and are supported by the money that's collected, then go to these. And the 5th one that's listed here as our 5-for-5 indicates is part of that budgeted 20% that Ruth mentioned. It's for the church's wider mission. The funds work to do the work for the conference and national and global church. So that money automatically goes, and the other 4 are for special offerings. And I wanted to mention, the first one, the 1 great hour of sharing, I thought of it as Jim mentioned. There's money already, it's collected every year, and that money is there when this disaster happens. And so it's much better to have it ready, because we know things are going to happen, and rather than to be reactive when something happens and take a collection, this is already in place. So that's what that 5-for-5 church is all about, and Trinity is a 5-for-5 mission church. Thank you.
I'm here to talk about a local mission. It's our Trinity Breakfast Program. And as was said earlier, this is as of June, it'll be our 20th year. It was started, to be honest, Joanne Spittler started it, and she was a cook in the school system. And at that point in time, the children that were on free and reduced lunch, we had a breakfast program in the school system, but there was nothing in the summer. And so she wanted to start it for the children. It didn't work out that way. The children really didn't come, maybe 1 or 2. But it has since become a great program for adults. And we've been doing it for 20 years, and the number of guests we serve is averaging about 50 to 60 now. The first day we had 5. It has definitely increased because of the economy. It depends each day whether you like what we're having for breakfast, but it depends on the weather, depends on the economy. At the end of the month, we tend to get more people because they're running out of the funds that they have. Based on our statistics, we've served around 250,000 meals over the last last 20 years. And the cost is around $1 a meal, so Trinity has contributed nearly $250,000 in the last 2 decades. The only money we get to do this program is through contributions here at church, and sometimes some of our guests will give us money, but we don't get any money from outside agencies, not from United Way or anything, the government. So, it's much appreciated what you're doing. Since the loss of Rubbermaid and the downturn of the economy, we've seen our numbers rise. Beyond the easing of the financial burden of working families, the program serves as a vital link to social services and the formation of community where people are accepted. We don't ask people, are you poor? They come in, they eat, we ask no questions. So you can see that the program has been very important to our mission as a downtown church. The success of our program relies on the generosity of the members of this congregation. To ensure that we continue this mission, we are in need of food donations. You see the little blurb in the program, we are in need. Also, monetary donations are always welcome. If you want to give food items, it's usually listed in the bulletin or in the Trinity Topics or online. Thank you.
Good morning. I'll talk about a mission that we have here at our church. 4 years ago, we started a car loan program here at the church to work with low-income people to obtain cars that they needed for work. And these were people that could not get conventional loans, either because they did not have credit at all. In some cases, they just never borrowed anything. And in other cases, they were borderline credit. And these people were going to the payday lenders. And I don't know if you're familiar with the payday lenders, but once you get involved, start borrowing money with the payday lenders, it seems like you're doomed. You can never get out of it. But at any rate, we set the program up gearing for these people. The endowment money, the endowment fund gave us the seed money to start. And what we did is we took the seed money to the Wayne County Credit Union in Smithville, and they hold this money as a security account, and then we place our loans against this security loans. And since it's no risk to the credit union, we get low interest rate. So our clients get basically about 2% interest. This is compared to, say, 2% if they went to a payday lender and paid 200 to 400% interest on a car. That's a big difference. But at any rate, the credit union then does the paperwork. Our clients are issued a loan, just a conventional loan. They make the payments. Insurance is all kept through the credit union. Our internal process that we have here is we have people come in and we interview them, and they must be working, they must live in Wayne County, and then we also have a deal now where they put money in savings, kind of a sweat equity account. And if approved, when our clients are approved, we help them locate a car in the $2,000 to $4,000 range, and then their payments normally are about $200 a month. Because of this low interest rate, they can make higher interest or higher payments, and they pay off in 1 to 2 years, and then they've established credit so that the next car, they've already established credit and they can go ahead and purchase. To date, we have issued 13 loans. We've had a few failures, but all in all, it's been very successful. Last month, we did receive a donated car, so I think the future for our program looks very good. So that's all I have, and I was just going to pick one final plug here for the endowment fund. You know, I think we sometimes forget our endowment fund provides the seed money for many of these, many things that we are doing. And so we should give them credit, and also think about when our end of life, when we make our will and stuff out, to include the church as part of our giving. Thank you.
Okay. We especially want to thank the people that make our programs run. You can see the government, and most of the people that you saw up front are the people who actually help plan these things and to see the idea to do a good thing.
I just want to talk for just a second about the relationship to the Career Center. To me, that is such a blessing out of the Carlo.
Yeah, the other portion of, thanks. The other portion of Joe Miller's comments about the car loan program is that recently we've been able to network with the Career Center. Career Center is a wonderful place to take your car if you can wait for it for 2 months. But it's very inexpensive to have your car fixed there. And so we've had cars that we want to be sure that someone has a credit union to be reliable when they loan a car from the credit union through us. And so we've networked with Rich Sutler there, who is the mechanic. We've taken several cars there now, and he's had them for a while, and the students work on them. They do that because they thoroughly go over those cars because they're learning what's in a car. So it's a great thing for us because we find out exactly what needs to happen with the car. And recently, we kind of added a new wrinkle, Joe, to the program, that many times people bring their cars to the Career Center because they don't care anymore what happens to them, and let students experiment on them kind of thing. And some of them are still in very good shape. And so recently we received our first donation of a car that someone came in and they were going to drop their car off. And Rich was talking about our program, and they said, well, I want to donate to that program because I would really feel good. They kind of had, you know how it is? Any of you ever had an emotional attachment to a car? Okay? They had an emotional attachment to the car, and they didn't want to just drop it off, but they wanted to be sure that that car helped someone to get to work. And so they donated the car to a program. Rich, the Career Center, looked it over, and now it's back in the program. And Joe, what do we have? 16 cars altogether or something like that? Yeah. So it's a great program, and if you want to know more, Joe or I can talk about it. But it's a good example about, I've always believed that you have a program and then you keep enhancing it. How can we be excellent about what we do? And that's the other thing we've been doing with the breakfast program, is that it is food, but it's not about food, okay? It's about gathering people together in caring community. Church is not all about church. It's about gathering people together in a caring community to learn from one another. And so we've partnered with the College of Worcester, and we have College of Worcester students who work in the breakfast program now. Those college students have been so moved by what we do in the program that they've changed their majors, they've written ISs, they're in studies on our program, and they've gone on from here to take degrees in higher learning to find out about policy about food stamps, about policy, about ways that we can help people to move out of poverty and into a sustainable lifestyle. So we've tried to enhance that by encouraging people to bring in fresh vegetables for people because they're concerned about dietary issues. We regularly have people from employment agencies, from social service agencies, come in and sit and just be available to people. So I want you to think about, if there's a ministry here at Trinity that you're involved in, how can we do that well? I don't want to do it well. I don't want to do it well. That's not an exclamation point, right? I want to do it excellently. And I want you to think about what you've seen here today and the different ministries that are going on and find out where your exclamation point is. In that great passage from Isaiah, and I'm off script right now. And the great passage from Isaiah, you know, whom shall I send and who will go for us? And that's a question, a lot of great questions in the Bible, you know. And the answer is, here I am, send me. And that's an exclamation point on both of those. And so I want you to think about these ministries and ask good questions. Does anybody have any other? I'm glad that Ellen kind of sparked that. Jen?
I just want to thank the church for all it does for the community. I work for Goodwill, and I work with people who are on cash assistance and get food stamps. And what a blessing it was on Memorial Day to be able to help with the breakfast program, because usually I'm at work then. And to be able to see people that had a job for us and lost a job, and to be able to see them still being able to eat well. The card program has been a blessing for a lot of our consumers too, because our people want to get a job, but so many of them don't have cars. So I just want to thank the whole church for all that you do, because it's such a blessing to the poor people in our community. So thank you.
There are all sorts of needs that we never imagined existed until we sat down around the table and had breakfast and started talking.
I want to put a plug in for the Mission, Peace, and Justice Committee. We need more members. So I may be knocking at your door and asking if you would volunteer. It would be wonderful. Just give me a call.
Okay. John? Sure.
I just wanted to announce that through Habitat, that the church is going to have an excellent opportunity to be working on someone's new home. We do not have any dates yet, but I'm going to say it's going to be probably in July. But Jen Slater is going to be a candidate for this house, so I hope our church can be involved, and our church already is involved with Habitat. We actually dedicated our 75th house on Thursday night. And so again, this summer we're going to be working on Jen's house.
Anybody have any questions? I've got the whole PowerPoint here about what it means to be a global mission church, but I can basically tell you that it means that we pray regularly. We educate people about mission projects and we look for justice. We receive the gifts of the global church. We give gifts to the global mission. We do everything we can to send people out into the world and to grow people in ministry. And why will we participate? Number one, and most important, is because people need it. There's a world of need out there, and we do it to make a difference in the world. We also, as someone mentioned, I think maybe Jim, that when you go into ministry on a mission trip, you learn things that you never imagined about situations. You destroy stereotypes and things that people have told you are true, and you will be transformed when you become a servant. And also, it connects us to other churches and the global mission church. And a little missionary thing there, and the ideas for action. And there's the great Isaiah quote, and I think that, why don't I be the question, and you folks can be the exclamation point, okay, as we close. Whom shall we send, and who will go for us?